Welcome to the webinar, Transitioning from Bachelors to the Professoriate, College and Graduate Pipeline Programs. This webinar will be recorded and registrants will receive a link to the recording, which appears on the socialsciencespace.com. I'm Michael Todd, the editor of Social Science Space, which is the media sponsor of today's event. Social Science Space, in turn, is sponsored by Sage Publishing. And before I introduce the host of today's webinar, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about yourself so our guests can know a bit about who they'll be talking to. We have a poll for a quick answer. And if you have questions for the guests, be sure to use the Q&A tab to type those in. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Curtis Byrd and Rihanna Mason, both of Georgia State University and our hosts today. They have teamed to write the new book, Academic Pipeline Project, Diversifying Pathways from the Bachelors to the Professoriate, and published open access by Lever Press, and which is giving us the basis for today's webinar, and another webinar on the academic pipeline scheduled for later this year. Be sure to check Social Science Space and the Academic Pipeline website for updates on that event and on an earlier one that we held. Now, Dr. Rihanna S Mason is research scientist at the Urban Child Study Center at GSU. Prior to joining the UCSC, she served as an associate professor in psychology at Emmanuel College for several years, where she helped to expand the undergraduate curriculum in psychology. She is a 2021-22 president of the Southeastern Psychological Association and a member of the Psychi Diversity Advisory Committee. Dr. Curtis Byrd, our moderator today, is special advisor to the provost at Georgia State University. Dr. Byrd consults and provides leadership in GSU faculty and graduate student diversity and inclusion efforts. Most recently, he served as a research associate and consultant for the HBCU STEM Undergraduate Success Center at Morehouse College. Prior to his time at Morehouse, he served for 8 years as the Assistant Dean of Graduate Studies and Senior Associate Director of Graduate Enrollment at Clark Atlanta University. Before this, he served as Director of Special Programs, Undergraduate Research, and Associate Director at the Mcknight Scholars Program at the University of Florida, and Director of the Mcknight Scholars Program at GSU. Now let's hear from Dr. Mason.
Good afternoon or good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Rihanna Mason, co-author of the Academic Pipeline Programs book. Just an honor to be here with all of our guests and with Dr. Byrd. Thank you so much to Sage Publishing for continuing to promote our work. We see that in our audience, we have higher education faculty, program leaders and administrators, and a few students. So we welcome you all on today. We wanted to open up by giving you a brief overview of our book. Our book includes 6 chapters. Chapter 1 provides the rationale for why Curtis and I wrote the book, gives you a background and historical context related to pipeline or pathway programming, and also an overview of Cooper-Ryder's appreciative inquiry framework. AI is a strengths-based paradigm for organizational change, and it really allows us to focus on what's working rather than what is not working. In Chapter 1, we also introduce a unique tool that Dr. Byrd and I designed called the Thrive Inventory Tool. And this Thrive Inventory Tool captures common programmatic elements across academic pipeline programs or diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, or even policies. We designed this tool in an effort to create a common language, to really be able to compare these programmatic elements and to move this effort to add to data-driven approaches, showcasing successes of programs. Thrive stands for type or T, H for history, R for research, routines, or responsibilities, I for both identity and inclusion, V for voice, and E for expectations. Using the Thrive Inventory tool, you'll be able to tell where or what levels of the academic pipeline programs are designed for. For H, you can learn about the program's history, alumni, and reasons for forming the programs. Research, routines, and responsibilities gives you information about ways in which the programs prepare you along the pipeline, methodologies that are learned, and then the unique things that you get to participate in, as well as the ways in which you can develop intellectual property or other sorts of things that are discipline focused. For I, inclusion and identity, we talk about how programs provide safe spaces for participants to develop, how they promote self-efficacy, and how they really give attention to the intersections of all of our identities. Voice, we focus on how programs provide mentorship, networks, and social capital. And then for expectations, it's twofold. What is expected of you as you're navigating and participating in these programs? And then the other part of that, successful outcomes. How have these programs done overall? What are the key performance indicators? So each of our inner chapters highlights each level of the learning journey. Chapter 2, pre-collegiate. Chapter 3, collegiate. Chapter 4, graduate. Chapter 5, postdoctoral and faculty. And then our final chapter, chapter 6, in the words of Anthony DePass, we try to liberate scholarship from the confines of the ivory tower and pontification and relate the information to people's lives. So we've ordered chapter 6 in sections where you can take this information and really digest it and use it, whether you're a student, faculty member, or administrator. Today, we'll hear excerpts from chapters 3 and 4 from our invited guests. So in addition to hearing from the Leadership Alliance, which is featured in chapter 3, we also highlight other collegiate programs, the Mellon Mays Undergraduate Fellowship Program, Florida A&M Graduate Feeder Scholars Program, the Institute for Recruitment of Teachers, or IRT, the California Predoctoral Program Sally Casanova Scholarship, and the annual Biomedical Research Conference for Minority Students, or AVRCANS. And in chapter 4, in addition to the Southern Regional Educational Board Doctoral Scholars Program, we also highlight the Mcknight Doctoral Fellowship Program, the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation Minority Graduate Scholarship Program, Ford Foundation Fellowship Programs, the National GEM Consortium, and the Fitz-Vandy Masters to PhD Bridge Program. And then lastly, we have both a foreword and an afterword. Our foreword is written by Dr. Freeman Rabowski, President of University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and our afterword is written by Dr. Abraham, who's with us on today. So this webinar continues a larger conversation about efforts to be inclusive of talent from all backgrounds at all levels of the educational experience. Ways in which we're expanding supports given at all of these levels of the academic experience. So we're excited to hear today from 2 programs, share their best practices, and we'll hear now from Dr. Byrd.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mason, for that introduction and for those words around our book, the Academic Pipeline Program. I'm so very excited to moderate today's discussion on transitioning from the Bachelors to the Professoriate, sustaining students through college and graduate pipeline initiatives. I'd also like to thank Sage Publishing again for their work and the social science space for sponsoring this webinar. Again, my name is Dr. Curtis Byrd. I'm Special Advisor to the Provost on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Georgia State University. In my role at Georgia State, I'm able to work with all of our academic pipeline initiatives at an institution of more than 54,000 students, graduating more African Americans than any other university at the bachelor's level in the country. So we're real excited about this work and highlighting the work not only for our students, but around the country, and using our Thrive Index to quantify and illustrate best practices, not only at Georgia State, but at all of these hallmark initiatives that we're working with. Of course, these specialized programs level the playing field for low-income and first-gen URM students as they move into and out of college and beyond. As a former director of the Mcknight Scholars Program at 2 different institutions, at Georgia State University and at University of Florida, a participant in Talent Search and Upward Bound programs, which were pre-collegiate trio programs, and writing my dissertation on the SRAB Doctoral Scholars Program, I know the worth of these types of initiatives. So we're real excited to talk about those. And particularly, we're excited about our guests that are here today to have a dialogue with you all about what these initiatives do and how they actually move students from underserved populations through their collegiate experience, graduate school, and even in the faculty roles. The first person I'd like to introduce is Dr. Thais Bingham Hickman, who's the Associate Director of the Leadership Alliance. Dr. Bingham Hickman is a proud alum of the Leadership Alliance Summer Research Early Identification Program and the Leadership Alliance member institution. After participating in SREIP at Harvard Medical School, she earned both her MS and her PhD degrees from New York University School of Medicine and completed her MBA at Northeastern University. In the past 3 years, Dr. Bingham Hickman served as the Assistant Director of Biomedical Informatics Research and Operations at Brown University, where she supported the operational functions of the Brown Center for the Biomedical Informatics, BCBI, and major statewide initiatives in this capacity. She served as the technical liaison for assigned projects with BCBI collaborators across Brown and its affiliate hospitals, as well as regional, national, and international partners. Then we have Dr. Ansley Abraham, a dear and close friend, and is the founding director of the Southern Regional Educational Board's State Doctoral Scholars Program here in Atlanta, Georgia. Under Dr. Abraham's direction, the board has developed one of the nation's best documented and nationally recognized programs for producing minority PhDs who seek faculty careers. The Doctoral Scholars Program is successfully producing minority graduates. Almost 1,000 have earned their doctoral degrees and are employed in colleges and universities, campuses around the country. Currently, more than 500 scholars are progressing toward their PhD. The Doctoral Scholars Program annually sponsors the Compact for Faculty Diversity Institute on Teaching and Mentoring. The Institute is a nationwide effort of state, federal, and private agencies and organizations committed to faculty diversity. More than 1,200 minority PhD scholars and their mentors come together to learn the skills and the knowledge necessary for successful completion of doctoral degrees, improve departmental environments, transition into academic careers. The Institute is the largest gathering of minority PhD students in the nation. That's very important to know. Dr. Abraham earned his BS in sociology and psychology and his MS and PhD in sociology with an emphasis of sociology and of education and race, ethnic relations from Florida State University. That being said, I'd like to introduce our first discussant, Dr. Bingham Hickman. As you see on your screen, send your questions to the Q&A box, and we'll also be putting things in the chat as well. So look forward to seeing that. So without further ado, Dr. Bingham Hickman, you're up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for attending today's panel discussion. And again, thank you to Dr. Byrd and Dr. Mason for asking me to participate today. My name is Dr. Thais Bingham Hickman, and I am the Associate Director of the Leadership Alliance. I am also, as Dr. Byrd mentioned, a Leadership Alliance Doctoral Scholar. I participated in the SREIP program and then went on to pursue my PhD at NYU. I'm also a former LSAMP, Mark and Mcknight Scholar, so as well as an HBCU graduate from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. So I feel like I'm amongst my people today. So thanks for having me. If you are not familiar with the Leadership Alliance, let me share a few quick videos with you that really capture the essence of who we are. So please listen in.
The Leadership Alliance is transformative. It is effective. It's important. Leadership Alliance is a catalyst, a professional family, a career builder,
an opportunity, an incredible opportunity.
It brings together the best people. It brings together the best ideas.
The Leadership Alliance is family that looks out for you.
It's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's groundbreaking.
Without Leadership Alliance, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
And then also, I just want to share with you a few excerpts from folks that have interacted with the Leadership Alliance along their career path. So first, we'll hear from Dr. Teresa Ramirez.
Hi, I am Dr. Teresa Ramirez, and the Leadership Alliance to me is a big family. I come every year to support and mentor students and inspire them because through the Leadership Alliance program, I was able to learn about Brown University. Coming from Compton, California, I had no idea that Brown University existed. So thank you to the Leadership Alliance program for giving me this great opportunity that I continue to grow as a leader, as a mentor, and as a friend. Gracias.
And Alex Weingart, who is a student.
I love coming to LANS because, of course, it's an amazing research conference that allows young scholars to share their innovation, their creativity, their breakthrough summer science project. But in other ways, for me, it's like a family reunion. I have the opportunity to reconnect with friends from my past summer programs, past students that I've met at past LANS conferences, but also be able to engage with face-to-face interactions with some of my past mentors and update them as to what I've been doing and where I've been going, while expanding my network and meeting new mentors too that can help propel me forward on my journey.
And then finally, Ernestine Baker, who is an administrator at UMBC.
Leadership Alliance is valuable because it provides opportunities and experiences for students to create and make an impact in our world and our society. We need to increase the number of students who go on to complete PhDs and MD PhD degrees, to make a difference, to create a change, to be at the table, to have clear, good conversations, and most importantly, helping to make decisions that impact our communities.
And I'll just show a brief impact video, and then I will jump into our programming. So again, thank you. And hopefully you learned a little bit about us through those videos. But to give you a little bit more insight, the Leadership Alliance was founded by Brown University in 1992. Over the years, we have successfully forged the strengths of our diverse partnerships, which are comprised of HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and Native American serving institutions in collaboration with predominantly white and R1 schools. We believe if the balance of underrepresented groups in academia and the research workforce is to be effectively addressed, it is imperative that young people have role models. Therefore, we as an alliance are developing the next generation of leaders and role models in academia, the public and private sectors. For more than a quarter of a century, we have committed to leveraging our resources and expertise to increase the readiness and competitiveness of scholars from diverse backgrounds as they train for and enter careers in research. The Leadership Alliance, as you saw in the videos, is a professional family and a career builder that brings together the best minds and the best ideas to promote cultural diversity in the workforce. Leadership Alliance programs foster intellectual and professional growth along every stage of the academic and career pathway. We are able to produce leaders and role models by mentoring undergraduate students to first careers. Opportunities for training and mentoring begin with undergraduates during our academic year workshop program, in which students are exposed to research careers, opportunities for research experiences, and the core skills for forming collaborative learning groups. They continue during the summer during our first year research experience program, which enables first year students from our minority serving institutions to conduct research during the summer early identification program, or SREIP as we call it. SREIP participants then present their research at our capstone event, the Leadership Alliance National Symposium, and you saw a few folks speaking from there in those videos. For graduate students, postdocs, junior faculty, and doctoral scholars, our National Symposium is an opportunity for further mentoring and professional development. We host a career development workshop, as well as a grant writing coaching group that builds skills for early faculty career to meet mentors and bring together a diverse group of individuals. Doctoral scholars, faculty, and administrators remain engaged throughout our speaker series, where they share their stories of how they became researchers and how they entered the research workforce. So I'll talk a little bit about our programming now in more detail. So as I mentioned, our Summer Research Early Identification Program, or SREIP, is a fully paid summer internship that provides undergraduates with training and mentoring in the principles underlying the conduct of research and prepares them to pursue competitive applications to PhD or MD-PhD programs. We do have some statistics on our website. We have over 812 doctoral scholars, so those that participated in this program and then went on to pursue PhDs since our program's inception. So feel free to take a look at our website, and I will put the link in the chat a little later. Our first year research experience program is an innovative program that continues to be a launching pad for first year undergraduate students. This provides research opportunities for those who have just completed their first year at a minority serving partner institution. And just a few statistics about this program: 84% of our FIRE participants continue engaging in external research experiences after this program. 63% are currently in PhD or master's programs, and 37% of those that are still enrolled in undergraduate school plan to apply to a graduate program. Our Leadership Alliance Mellon initiative is also an opportunity for undergraduate students who are interested in pursuing doctoral studies in humanities and social sciences, and this is supported by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation. Some of the research fields for this program include classics, anthropology, English literature, history, political science, and others. I talked a little bit about our academic year workshop program. This occurs throughout the academic year, and it hopes to engage students during their first academic year prior to any potential research experience. We have 2 workshops: what is research and collaborative learning, where students learn critical skills to use in the classroom as well as research settings, and also introduce students to research careers and promote further exploration of their careers. Our career development workshop This happens typically during LANs. This is an opportunity for graduate students and postdocs to learn more about potential career paths, build their professional network, and apply practical advice to the next phase of their careers. Just as an example, we are hosting this virtually next week. We have Dr. Ashish Jha, one of our keynote speakers, as well as Dr. Camille Burgess, who is a associate professor of political science at Villanova. So they will be addressing that community. We also have some panels that talk about career development and networking. And our grant writing coaching groups are for early career faculty who are looking to pursue funding opportunities. This is available to individuals from groups from underrepresented groups in the biomedical sciences. And then we don't talk much about this in the book because this is relatively new, but we do have virtual programming as well. And this came about as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. We had to obviously rise to the times. And for the first time in our history, we developed a virtual summer research experience for our students because they were not able to conduct research in person. So in 2020, we had roughly 250 students participate. And it was, great. As one of the students put it, it was the most cutting edge, engaging, and thrilling research experience I've ever had. The faculty, mentors, postdocs, and graduate students were amazing. I learned so much. That's a quote. We also developed a virtual professional development program, which is open to all students, whether or not they are accepted to our SREIP program or not. So any student across the country can participate. It's designed to build awareness of what a research career is and how students can navigate their academic career path. We also have, as part of this virtual professional development series, developed conversations with the Doctoral Scholar, where our former scholars share their research experience and their personal journeys with our community. Last year, we had over 700 students register for our professional development series, and we had, and this year, similar engagement. And for our virtual program this year, we are expecting about 400 students to present at our virtual LANs conference. So that is a little bit about our programming. If you are interested in learning more, really digging into our programs, and you want to learn more about what we do, I'm putting the link in the chat now. This is the
Dr.
whole.
Bingham Hickman,
Yes.
you're in there.
Oh, okay.
You're already in there.
Great. So so there's a lot of information about our programming there on our website. If you'd like to get involved, so if you're a student, you're a postdoc, you are a faculty administrator looking for more information about how to join the Leadership Alliance, there's also a Get Involved area on our webpage. And if you're interested in actually joining the Leadership Alliance as a member, we do have an application cycle where we accept inquiries. And so our inquiry submission runs from April to August. So we are still accepting inquiries at this time. We then will review all of our inquiries during our fall business meeting. And we will reach out and schedule an orientation. And then based on the orientation and the inquiry, we will then invite you to formally apply. So there is a formal invitation in order to apply. So if you're interested, again, that's all on our website. Feel free to go to our website and find out more information about how you can become a member.
Thank you.
So with that, I think I've covered everything about the Leadership Alliance. I'm happy to take questions later on in the session. We do have a Q&A section. So again, thank you. And I hope that you will all either learn about the Alliance or come to one of our future workshops.
Very good. Thank you so much, Dr. Bingham Hickman. Such a rich history with the Leadership Alliance. So many students that I've actually sent to join that program and seeing you guys on several different, and I really think the cross-pollination of how you work with the different initiatives really are crucial in this. Dr. Mason, did you have something you want to add?
I just want to, before we transition to SREB, I wanted to take this question in real time. Are there institutions that are part of the consortium for Leadership Alliance that are available for Canadian students?
So you have to be associated with a college or university in the US in order to participate. So we don't currently accept foreign national or foreign students into our program. But if you're a Canadian citizen, but you attend a school in the United States, then you can participate. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much for that. So we're going to move into the next phase, and our next partner that we were working with, Dr. Ansley Abraham from the Southern Regional Educational Board Doctoral Scholars Program. Dr. Abraham?
Thank you, Dr. Byrd. And let me also give a ditto to the efficacy of the Leadership Alliance. I've been to a couple of their meetings, and I am encouraging all of you, if you've not checked it out, you should definitely take a closer look at that. But thank you all. And let me also very publicly thank Dr. Byrd and Dr. Mason for doing this book. It was a greatly needed tool. And I love the Thrive typology you all came up with to categorize and help people who are looking for support be able to find it and give them some rationale and reason to do that. I just thought it was very ingenious to do it that way, and it's a greatly needed resource. Good afternoon to everyone. Let me tell you about the SREB Doctoral Scholars Program. First of all, very quickly, the Southern Regional Education Board is a private nonprofit 16-state Southern region that does policy and research for those 16 states. Our constituency are the governors, legislators, and higher ed administrators in those 16 states. So let me get that out of the way in describing what the Southern Regional Education Board is. We cover everything from literally K to PhD. And obviously I am the director of the Doctoral Scholars Program, which is at the top of the pyramid, if you will, in terms of the programming that the Southern Regional Education Board covers. The goal of the Doctoral Scholars Program is very simply to diversify college faculty. And we operationalize that goal by supporting, and so how do you do that? So we operationalize that goal by supporting underrepresented minority students to earn their PhD. And in that process, we prepare them to go into the academy, giving them all the things, if you will, that they need in order to successfully transition to the academy. And quite frankly, you have to start with right at the very base, and at the base of that is support to earn the PhD. Now, through our partnership with states and institutions, we provide financial support for students to earn their PhD and literally build scaffolding. I use the term, we build scaffolding around them that's going to prop them up, support them in many, many different ways. The objectives of the program, first and foremost, are long-term financial support. So we provide enough support for students to get all the way through their program. We also build, part of that scaffolding is making sure that they have a comprehensive package of support around them. So what does that mean? I've got 6 pillars that the program stands on, and Dr. Byrd covered this in some of his introductory comments. First, we provide safe spaces for our students, for the students who are part of our program. Secondly, and these are not necessarily in any particular order, but financial support, which is very, very important. Mentoring, community building. If you know anything about the doctoral process or the doctoral process, you do know that it's a lonely process by structure. You know, when you're pursuing a particular question, in your field of study, there are not a lot of other people that are necessarily pursuing that exact same question. So by design, it's very lonely. But we try to build in components that will build community for these students. Because not only are you pursuing a particular question, but if you're the only minority person in your department, in your lab, it really hits home of how lonely that process can be. So we try to address that. The other, another pillar of our program that it stands on is advocacy. We try to be sure that we can provide the support that students may need in order to navigate their programs. And that includes advocating for their success. And that can take many different forms depending upon the issues and problems the students engage as they're going through this doctoral process. And finally, the sixth pillar of the program stands on is professional development. That's part of that scaffolding that we put around our students, is providing them with the knowledge and skill sets that first and foremost allow them to successfully get through their doctoral study. But secondly, we try to ensure that these students understand the rules of the game of getting into the academy. I mean, it's hard, I always say this, it's hard to win a game when you don't know the rules of the game. And it's amazing how many of us go through that educational process, but really don't know and understand how institutions work. And as a program, we're trying to be sure, because we want these students to be successful once they get to the academy, we're trying to be sure that they understand the rules, understand the expectations, understand what they must do in order to be successful. And we provide them with those skill sets. The way we do that is annually, we sponsor, as Dr. Byrd had made reference earlier, the largest gathering of minority PhD students in the country through our Institute on Teaching and Mentoring. We have other partners that are other entities that partner with us that include the National Science Foundation, the Sloan Foundation, the Gates Millennium Scholars Program, NASA. There are NIH, there are a lot of other programs that also send their students to this annual meeting. So that way we're able, the last in-person event we had was in 19, where we had 1,240 underrepresented minority PhD students in the same place, same time. And if you will visualize for me, just visualize being in a room where you have over 1,000 minority PhD students all headed in the same direction, all moving in force, if you will, toward achieving a goal that they have. And through that mechanism, we have well over 40 sessions that literally cover everything you can think of that poses a barrier to students earning their degree and or successfully transitioning into the academy. We bring in experts to really inform inform our students, provide them with the skill sets and the knowledge so that they can successfully navigate those minefields that everybody who earning an advanced degree has to navigate. I always say that, you know, there are enough reasons to lose students out of these programs. It's not acceptable to lose students out of these programs for all the wrong reasons. You know, there are right reasons to lose students, but we can't afford, once you get them underrepresented minority student to this level, to lose them for the wrong reasons. And we try to give them the skill sets to successfully navigate that. Dr. Byrd, I think you said that you all have our website in the chat so people can get to it. But let me point out to you that one of the things that we are very, very pleased with, and that you as a consumer of information would like about our program, is that we have real-time data about our program, about where we are demographically, the successes we have in the program. You can go to that site any time of day, and at that moment in time you log in, you're looking at real-time data on the program in terms of the number of people who participate in the program, their fields of study, where they're working, the types of jobs they have, whether they're in the academy, outside the academy, what states they work in. You really do get a pretty good overview of our program. I would encourage all of you to take a look at it. You get an understanding of what we've been able to achieve. And let me just say there are two things that we have done. We've served almost, we're knocking on the door of 2,000 underrepresented minority students, 1,200 of whom have already earned their degree, almost 500 of whom are in the process of pursuing their degrees. But these folk are in this pipeline right now. And we are just thrilled at the fact that our students are coming out of school with less debt. They are finishing faster than comparable students who are not part of our programs. They're getting through this faster. And I will tell you, some of that is by, well, it's within the design of our program and the things, how we've structured things so that they can get through these programs faster. Because the only way we're going to do anything about faculty diversity is more students have to come through, more students have to be retained, complete, and move into the academy. And they have to do it faster. So if we can get these students through quicker and into the pipeline of applying for and getting these faculty positions, we will move the needle, if you will, about faculty diversity. I'm going to be quiet here and give our those who have tuned in with us today to ask questions, and I can talk about details about the program as questions come up. I again appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, for you all having me on the docket today. Appreciate it. You're muted, Curtis. Curtis, you're muted.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I want to thank you so much again, Dr. Abraham, for your comments. These, as we stated, these programs are so needed as we're looking to not only facilitate movement through the academic pipeline, but also to diversify the professoriate. Before I get into any of my comments and our comments around the book, I did want to pose this question to our two panelists around what that came from our audience. What kinds of challenges do underrepresented students face as they work their way through the academic pipeline? So any comments or reactions around that?
Yes, so actually as part of, sorry, Dr. Abraham.
No, go ahead, absolutely.
As part of our virtual professional development series, we host, as I mentioned, what we're calling a Meet a Doctoral Scholar session, where students can come and ask a real doctoral scholar what their experience was like and how they made it through graduate school. And what we hear over and over again is always, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? And which it comes up every single week. And I think it just reinforces the need for these types of programs to have that type of network and to have mentors that they can reach out to, especially for first generation students. I think that is something that we can continue to fill that gap and that void. So that's something that always comes up in our community.
I will ditto. I would like to respond to that by dittoing those comments. You know, you don't lose it moving from the undergraduate to the graduate. I mean, those feelings of not belonging or not being worthy carry on or stick with these students as they move into doctoral programs and actually into the academy. And it has to be and as a program, you know, if you can provide those spaces, as Dr. Bingham has just referred to, if you can provide those spaces where students can have, or whoever the students or the faculty can have those honest conversations, you go a long way toward giving them places to express themselves that are safe, that are non-threatening, where they know that all the, you know, everybody around them is for them, if you will. You know, there's nobody lurking in the shadows waiting to undercut them, be able to hold things against them. We create those spaces for these students to have those honest conversations, and that is mightily important. These programs all do that because they all recognize these students need those outlets. But I will just say the number one problem that pops up in our students is support. I mean, you know, getting an advanced degree is not cheap. and to be able to afford doing that. And so being able to, we are fortunate enough to be able to offer some level of support. You know, whatever we support is never enough, but we are able to support, be able to provide support packages that, you know, are enough to get these students through these programs. And I would say that's number one on all these students list and at the doctoral level is money.
Dr. Mason?
So as we're dittoing, I'm going to go ahead and ditto both of our panelists. And something that Dr. Bingham Hickman did earlier, which I failed to do. I'm a successful product of the NIMCOR National Institutes for Mental Health Careers and Opportunities and Research Program. Also proud Ford Fellow. And so I can say firsthand, definitely, the financial support was helpful to not have, the debt coming out of undergraduate or graduate school, but as well as being able to see the career opportunities. And so aside of being paired with a research mentor, it was then allowing me, as Dr. Abraham said, to have those conversations about what I'm interested in, sort of cultural differences and barriers, but having that those open dialogues to be able to express with others, who look like me, who've gone before me, who've successfully navigated was, greatly beneficial.
So before I'm going to engage us in more questions, I do want to kind of give some background about why this idea of diversifying the professoriate. What we're really looking at is how we target better outcomes for undergraduate and graduate students as our landscape and our demographics change in colleges and universities, and our students become more diverse. So goes our faculty as well. In fact, in Stewart's and Balin's book on the Inclusive Academy, they illustrate the intellectual advantage of diverse faculty bring a range of academic interests, research, and questions that they provide students, and the disciplines itself in terms of what they want to see. Students want to see in terms of what they need to succeed in the inclusiveness of academics. So we're really looking at how we can present students with opportunities to see themselves in this new multicultural classroom. So I would like to ask another question based on our chat. What suggestions do you have for universities to create a climate of belonging and community for our new faculty of color coming from your program?
I would encourage the administration at your institution to seek out those faculty that are willing to mentor and be a resource to students, and to start there. We, as the Leadership Alliance brings on board more institutions, we're constantly looking for that. It's okay if your institution is not diverse or you don't have a diverse professoriate, but do you have a few individuals who are willing to invest in helping and mentoring minority talent? Because that's what's most important. And when we send our undergraduates to pursue research experiences over the summer, we like to know that they are in good hands, that they have somebody that they can reach out to. So I would encourage your administration to seek out those who are willing to serve and start there.
I would add to that, Curtis. I'd add to that. I don't disagree with that at all. I would add to that, acknowledging what these underrepresented minority students experience on their campuses, on their campuses. I mean, some kind of acknowledgement of what that experience is for these students. Too often, we see too many of the schools, they have a way of doing business because it's convenient and it works for the program or the university. That doesn't necessarily convert into it's working for those students who are experiencing those things. And I think if these schools would just acknowledge what it is, that is, You know, these students are, if you will, registering their complaint, their concerns, but too often it's falling on deaf ears and universities don't hear it, therefore they don't react to it. And I'm saying if you acknowledge it, then at least there's a glimmer of hope that there may be some reaction to what they're hearing. But I think if schools would do a better job of acknowledging what it is they experience, what these students experience, we get a ton of that. And it is very reaffirming to that. I always say for our students, when you can put 1,200 underrepresented minority PhD students in the same room, it's an affirmation of what you're experiencing is real. It's not crazy. It's not, just one-off experience that you're having. Or if it is, you're getting it in an environment that is informing you about, yes, I'm experiencing things, the feelings, the emotions I'm feeling, the experiences I'm having are being had and felt by other people, and it affirms for them, if you will, that they're not crazy, is the way I always describe it. And I think that is an important psychological acknowledgement that one can have when one knows one's not the only one, and what one is feeling and seeing is not an anomaly. That other people are having those same feelings and going through this same experience. And it gives them, again, a community that they can then strategize with of how to solve those issues.
I have another question, and I want to see if we can get a couple more in before we give our closing remarks. My department is creating a diversity scholars program to provide research opportunities for BIPOC students. But our university won't allow us to advertise underrepresented as anything other than low income or first generation, or to ask questions about race/ethnicity from applicants. Any suggestions on working around this issue?
I know I gave a suggestion. I typed another term that's being used that came up recently. It may not be able to be used if you can't ask about race and ethnicity on the application, but I do know that there are, some changing vocabulary now sort of within the academy. So I provided that one reference of how David Asai calls groups in general persons excluded because of their ethnicity or race or peers. But I'm interested in whether or not our panelists have had to deal with that with other universities as well, to have inclusive language be presented on websites.
Yeah, yes, we do. I mean, if you're thinking now, I have the advantage that I work at a private nonprofit. So there's some, if you will, cover within that because of where I work and what we can do from that vantage point. But, we are working with institutions that have those limitations and restrictions. And I tell them, really, it's not a problem. Because if you are clear in the intent of your program, you let the self-selection stuff take care of itself, quite honestly. I mean, you just let it take care of itself. And for the most part, it's going to take care of it. And, if you have the occasional majority group student who comes through that, so what? That's all right. That's good. Because, that person's going to come through that process a lot more informed, a lot more aware of these issues. And I don't think that's a bad thing for the academy. That's a good thing. So we have taken the attitude that that's fine. We communicate the intent of it. Let it do what it do. Let it, if you will, filter. I hate using, but let it filter. But again, if students come through that who are not underrepresented, we have just taken the attitude, so what? That's not a bad thing either. So
yeah, we do something similar within the Leadership Alliance. We don't exclude majority groups from applying to our programs. If they apply and one of our institutions accepts them, they're welcome to participate. And to your point, Dr. Abraham, I think it enriches the overall experience because, in the real world, you will have to interact with minorities if you're, and if you're a majority student at some point, that will enrich your life and enrich your experience. So I think if you are specific in the mission and the goals of the program, I think it will all work out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and I just add real quick, when you talk about underrepresented populations or underrepresented groups, you are also including women in science.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you're talking about, men in disciplines such as nursing or
Right.
so on and so forth. So there are ways that you can work within those contexts and still get what you need. I think we may actually have to slow down on our questions, because we do need a couple kind of bigger comments that we want to talk about in terms of some of the common elements of our collegiate and graduate programs. I'm just going to kind of do some highlights as we talk about the context of our book relating to collegiate programs, access to academic and research related training that spark intellectual curiosity in students' perspective and career disciplines, to awareness of what is expected to succeed in college and graduate school, mentors who serve as role models to the next level of the pipeline. These are common elements that we're finding in all of the initiatives that we're talking about here. Affiliation with the community that supports, and this has also been accented by Dr. Bingham Hickman and Dr. Abraham, that supports students' ability to complete the baccalaureate degree and achieve identity as a professional within academia. And then at the graduate level and professional level, we're looking at specialized training programs that enhance the likelihood of doctoral degree completion with the advancement into faculty and administrative posts. Further, these programs provide the socialization of faculty mentorship. We were talking about that earlier. What helps for people to overcome those ideas of imposter syndrome through things such as faculty mentorship, professional involvement, professional development, environmental support that allow URM graduate students to succeed and persist in the academic world. Dr. Mason, do you have any other things you'd like to comment on as we wrap up today?
I do. I just wanted to mention there was one question in the Q&A about programs at the community college level and connecting. And I do want to say that we acknowledge the importance of community colleges in our first chapter and talk about bridging students in chapter 2. But I do think it may be important for our panelists to touch on any of their experience at that level before we close out with my other comments.
Any comments?
Yeah, I would respond to that, Dr. Mason, in saying, because our programming is at the doctoral level, we don't, obviously the students don't necessarily fit the profile we need to have for our program. Now, that said, as a destination, we even at our annual Institute on Teaching and Mentoring, we cover and we want students to teach at community college, because some of our students that's where they want to do, because they want to teach. They see that as being their goal and their career path is teaching that level and touching as many of those students. So we actually, because we don't care, we don't care at what level of higher education our students go teach, because the need is there at every level of the community, at every level of higher education, be it the 2-year college or your Research 1 type institution. The need is there. So we try to prepare our students, depending upon what they want to do, to go to any of those, and we encourage it, quite honestly.
Dr. Bingham Hickman?
Yes, we don't have anything specific for community colleges. However, if a student from a community college applies to our program, they are given consideration and they can compete with the other students as well. So I think it's just a matter of getting the information out there
Yes.
within the community college community or network, so that they are aware of these types of programs and opportunities and they can share them with the students. We are in the process of, we have applied actually for an NSF grant that will bridge students actually from high school to community college all the way up to hopefully a PhD program. So we're working on that as something that, hopefully for future. But in general, I would just say that it's our role and our job to really get these types of programs and information out there within those communities so that the students are aware and can compete.
So I think that's a nice way also for us to kind of close out. So overall, we've talked about the inner chapters of our book, and we appreciate our panelists being here today. But our book also has an interactive appendix. Those links have been dropped into the chat where you can read the descriptions of both the Leadership Alliance and SRAB Doctoral Scholars Program. But there are a number of programs that are out there. So to your point of raising awareness, we believe that's also what it takes. Look at what these programs are doing and those common programmatic elements. The best practices, I know that Dr. Byrd wanted to sum up for us, are also there within our book. At each level of the pipeline. So I think being able to draw upon those best practices as we've laid them out in our book and being able to see them illustrated in the way we've put them in our interactive database will help with that awareness and continuing this conversation and even connecting those who need to have the conversations when they're building new programs. So Dr. Byrd, you want to close us out? I think we're slightly over time.
Yeah, we do have to wrap up today, but thank you so much to our guests today, Dr. Ansley Abraham of the SRAB Doctoral Scholars Program, Dr. Thais Bingham Hickman from the Leadership Alliance, Sage Publishing, of course, and social science space. We will take some questions through our email address. If we didn't have a chance to do that, you can reach us at Academic Pipeline Project, all one word, Academic Pipeline Project @gmail.com. We'll take questions there. Of course, you can also find our website, which is www.academicpipelineprogram.com. So if you have any questions about what we're doing, seeing our interactive database and ordering our book as well, we'd appreciate it. So thank you again to our host. Thank you, Dr. Mason. Thank you to everyone. And we will catch up with you. Oh, and our next webinar will be on September 16th, where we talk about the overall idea of diversifying the professoriate with Dr. and I think that's in the chat as well, with Dr. Freeman Rabowski and Dr. Jamal Watson. Thank you so much, from Diverse Issues in Higher Education. Thank you so much to our guests, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.